Looks like we still got some people working their way back from Minnesota, huh? Apparently, so appreciate you guys. Mike's a trooper. I know he just got back last night, so thanks for being here. Sorry I'm a little bit late. We got started a little bit late this morning. Had two of the greatest NFL players of all time here to speak to our team this morning. Randy White of the Dallas Cowboys and Mike Singletary from the Chicago Bears were in town and visited with our guys this morning. So they both scared the ever-living heck out of me, so I wasn't about to tell them to stop talking. They could go as long as they want, but had a fantastic message for our guys. So we were a little bit late getting out on the field, so I apologize for being a few minutes late. I want to congratulate, I've obviously done it on Twitter, but Coach Staley and our women's basketball team. What an amazing win. What an amazing season they had. It was such a cool experience for my family and I to be up in Minnesota the other night, to watch them and support them and see them bring a national championship back to the capital city of South Carolina. What a great job they did all year long. I mean, to have every single team they play, that is their game of the year when they play the South Carolina Gamecocks, and to just beat teams after week after week after week, and then ultimately win a championship was awesome. It was great seeing so many Gamecocks up there in Minneapolis. Our Gamecock Nation showed why they are the best in the world, and it was awesome seeing a lot of great friends and great Gamecocks up there as well, and honored and grateful that I could be a part of it. Certainly makes me appreciate living in the South and living in SEC country after the weather up there as well. No disrespect to the people in Minnesota. They were fantastic, but it is great to be back down here in SEC country and SEC weather as well. But back on the practice field this morning, had our first scrimmage last Saturday. I thought it went well. Defense played great. Way too many turnovers offensively in our scrimmage. We've got to get that corrected. Can't win football games when you turn the ball over like we did last season, and then what we did on Saturday as well. So we got to get that corrected. Had a lot of our guys on offense that did not play in the scrimmage just because of some injuries. Nothing long term, just still some short term things where guys weren't able to go, but still no excuse to turn the ball over like we did. But credit our defense; they led the SEC last year in takeaways, and they did that and then some on Saturday. It's good to be back on the practice field this morning for practice number 10. Good spirited practice out there today. We'll practice again Thursday, scrimmage again Saturday, and then head right into next week, and then ultimately the Garnet and Black game next Saturday night, which again I want to encourage and challenge our fans to be there on that Saturday night. It's going to be an amazing environment. We've got a ton of recruits that are coming. It's a great opportunity to see our team and support them and the way that they've been working since we started the 2022 year, and I know our guys are excited about a great environment in Williams-Brice Stadium next Saturday night, and can't wait to see Gamecock Nation there for it. I can remember my first year at Georgia. Coach Kirby Smart challenged the Georgia Bulldogs to come out and support that group in year one, and they packed it out and had a sold-out Sanford Stadium, and what an amazing experience that was for so many people that were there that day, and especially a lot of the recruits that were there that day that led to what you see that program is doing right now. So every day matters. Every opportunity to be in Williams-Brice Stadium matters, and we need Gamecock Nation to show out next Saturday night. So appreciate all you guys being here. I see that Ben is now on the golf beat apparently as well. Apparently he thinks that Tiger Woods playing in the Masters is more important than what we have to talk about with spring practice right now. So that's a little disappointing as well that he's not here. But I think some of our coaches and players may be more interested in Tiger's plans as well. But happy for Ben to have that opportunity to be at Augusta. I think they got rained out over there today, so he should have plenty of time to tune in and get his football work done today as well. So just kidding, Ben. Miss you. Look forward to seeing you back. Glad to take any questions.
Shane, do you have an early favorite to win the Masters this weekend?
I don't. I haven't gotten into it enough yet. So give me a couple days on that one. So I've been watching a lot of golf, but on the weekends.
And I guess you talked about the scrimmage bit. Were there any other things that kind of stood out to you outside of the turnovers that you liked, didn't like, and want to see improve going into the Saturday?
Yeah. I thought Defensively, I thought we really tackled well. That stood out. A lot of times early on, you see missed tackles and just kind of sloppy play, and we didn't have that column. We tackled really, really well. Open field tackles. You know, the other side of the spectrum is offensively. Our guys that carry the ball, they got to do a better job of making people miss because they didn't win a lot of one-on-one battles from a tackling standpoint. I thought the pass protection was pretty good for the most part. Wasn't like our quarterbacks were running for their lives all day, particularly with that first group. That first offensive line, really pleased with their progress and what they've done so far as well. The mechanics of calling plays and things like that. We didn't have substitution errors and too many pre-snap penalties. I thought it was a fairly clean day from that standpoint. Offensively, you know, just perimeter blocking out there at the receiver position and tight end positions got to continue to be better on the perimeter. We work way too hard at that to not be good at it. But, you know, it was a solid first scrimmage, and then, you know, the defense, if you want to look at it, got the better hand, I guess, or the upper hand on Saturday. So I was eager to see how the offense would come back and respond today at practice, and I thought they did a great job.
Shane, Dawn said something that was pretty interesting last week, and I just wanted to get your opinions from a football standpoint. You know, she shared that last year. She talked to some of her players, specifically the starters, saying, hey, look, you know, your roles might change next year when you come back. And if you don't like it, embrace it or at least fake your role, especially in the world of the transfer portal and knowing that you have so many players that are new this year. Some of those starters going through spring ball might be a little bit different in comparison to some of the reps they got last year. Competition, I know you preach that all the time, but outside of that, how do you sell these players so that, number one, they do stick around and they don't go into the transfer portal?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the experience day in, day out here in this program, take the football part out of it. We want to make this a great experience where players know they can trust us. They want to be a part of this. They enjoy it. They know they're going to work hard, and it's going to be very demanding, and they're going to be held accountable. But it's a great experience that guys want to be part of. I think it starts with that, just the personal relationship to begin with. And then she's exactly right, and you could say that about a lot of different positions on our team right now. If you look at everywhere on offense, receiver, tight end, running back, you could argue and probably be right that the depth is better at every single position on offense right now than what it was last year. With the tight ends that are returning, with who we've added. We lost 2 running backs, but we got 3 returning, and we've added 2 in the transfer portal, what we've done at the receiver position and continue to do. So certainly there's more depth. There's a lot of guys that returned. And I think they all know that ultimately, me as the head coach, our coaching staff is always going to do what's best for the South Carolina football program, that ultimately we got to do what's best. We have to do what gives us the best opportunity to win football games on Saturdays. And, our returners on offense, Josh Vann knows that we're glad you came back, but that doesn't mean that you're just going to go out there and catch 14 balls a game. Marshawn Lloyd and Juju, you guys finish the season well, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have 30 carries every single Saturday. It's a production business, and we talked about it this morning. Like, show us, don't tell us what you're going to do and all that stuff. Produce, and if you produce, then there'll be opportunities for you on the field. And I used Josh and Marshawn. I'm not saying that those guys feel that way, but just using those 2 guys as an example. Jaheim Bell, whoever. We've got a lot more pieces on offense, and we've got to continue to find who the guys are that can best help us. And I think all of our guys understand that at the end of the day, we have to do what gives us the best opportunity to win football games every single week.
Coach, you talked about the offense on Saturday. How'd Spencer? How would you grade Spencer's performance with the offense out there?
Yeah, Spencer was good. It was good to see him because for the first time he was in a scrimmage setting where we're signaling in plays and he's having to communicate in the huddle and the coaches aren't out there and there's SEC officials all around him. And I thought he was great. He didn't look like a guy that was lost out there by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly there's some plays he would like to have back. There's no doubt about it. We've got to continue to make sure that the guys that he's throwing to are making plays, for him as well. But I thought he did a good job of commanding the offense and operating, and we all saw the areas, players and coaches, where we have to be better at, and it was a good learning experience for all of us on scrimmage number 1.
TJ Sanders has gotten a lot of praise from a lot of coaches and players through this, I guess, spring ball. What have you seen from him in terms of growth from the time he got here to what you're seeing now?
Yeah, I've been buying stock in TJ since like mid-October of last year because I saw what he did on the scout team all last season, to the point where late in the year, those defensive coaches will tell you, I'm like, y'all need to just make sure you go back and watch what TJ Sanders is doing in practice because he's a guy that continues to get better. And he was in practice. He was a bear for our offensive line to try and block in practice. Last year, he and Jakeem Green were our two scout team defensive tackles in practice. So it was great for our offensive line because they're going against those two guys each day. But it was great for, you talked about TJ specifically because he really worked to get better last year. He's had a good winter in the weight room, and he's a guy that continues to impress. I know he had a really good day, last Saturday, and we're trying to find more and more ways to give him opportunities. And he's a great athlete. He'll tell you what a great basketball player he is if you ask him, but he's a really good athlete, and he's twitchy, he's disruptive and strong, and he just loves to compete. He's a guy that he's got great energy out there on the practice field when he's out there.
Shane, two questions for you. You mentioned the turnovers. Would you categorize them as offensive mistakes, or was it defensive guys making plays? And then two, you mentioned that the pass protection was pretty good. I'm just wondering what you thought about the pass rush.
I see what you did there, Corey. The interceptions, I think, was a little bit of both. I think it was certainly, the defensive guys understanding what was going on and being where they were supposed to be and making a play. But a couple of the throws were just dumb throws that we can't do here at this level. And we made a couple of the quarterbacks, Braden, really every quarterback, but Luke and Spencer was live on Saturday, meaning we tackled them. Normally you guys have been out there, they're in a green jersey, and we thud up, and it wasn't like we got to protect Spencer and Luke, so don't let them get hit. But Spencer and Luke have played in college football games before. And Luke scrimmaged the other day. He got out there and did a nice job. They've played in college football games. Colton has played in one. Braden Davis has never played in one. So we made them live, and they did a nice job because it gets back. They're both competitors, and anytime I blow the whistle in practice, they don't believe that they got tackled. They think that they made that guy miss or ran him over or whatnot, so they wanted to be, and they did a nice job. It was great for their development and of just knowing that they can't sit back in the pocket and pat the ball all day when the pass rush is coming. They got to get rid of it. But, Braden had a nice scramble and a long run and things like that. So I go back to, what you said. It was good to make them live, and it was good for them to just understand the speed of the game and how things have to operate. And I think the pass rush was good. Jordan Birch had a nice day. Jordan Strawn had a nice day, continuing to try and figure out behind those guys with the pass rush, who's the next guy going to be? Is it Terrell Dawkins? Is it Hot Rod Fitton? Is it Tyreek Johnson? Is it Gilbert Edmond? Whoever it may be. And those guys all flashed. And then to me, the pass rush is not just those guys on the edge. It's the tackles inside, and it's the linebackers when we bring them on pressures. And one of the interceptions was we brought a defensive back on a pressure, and the safety made the interception and things like that. So I was pleased, overall with that.
Been a couple weeks since we last asked you about the place kicking competition. What can you share about what's going on there to this point?
Yeah, right now, Jeter and Herrera are getting most of the reps there. Like we talked about before, Jack Luckhurst is in the program, but he's not 100% healthy right now, so he's not able to go. So those two guys are getting the majority of the kicks, and it's certainly a battle. We kick field goals in the scrimmage. We kick them every practice, but we also kicked them as they came up in the scrimmage the other day, and all those guys did a nice job, and Herrera had a big kick at the end of the scrimmage. It was a longer one that he came out there, and I forget the exact yardage, but it was a lot of distance, and he didn't flinch and stepped up and nailed it. So we're excited to continue to see those guys as they develop and compete, and being in the stadium for the spring game next weekend will be great for them too, just kicking in front of crowds like that and whatnot. But they're older guys. It's time for them to take the next step, and they're certainly well on their way.
How would you describe the offensive line Saturday? Take a step forward, didn't move anywhere, or take a step back?
I think took a step forward. Talked about it a minute ago. They did a nice job from a pass protection standpoint, and I thought they did a good job. They're playing physical. They're playing with great They've got experience back there, so they look like an experienced group that returns everyone. They're blocking a really good defensive line out there in practice every day, and you know, a lot of times you look at a running play and you say, well, it went for 2 yards. The offensive line must stink, and it's not always the case. I mean, we first played the scrimmage, offensive line blocked great, and missed a block at the receiver position, and you know, allowed a guy to make a tackle for a 1 yard gain, and that's what I'm talking about with everybody doing the right thing from a blocking standpoint: receivers, tight ends, running backs, offensive line. But I like the offensive line group and the way they're working. Those guys that have returned have continued to take steps. Eric Douglas and Javon Gwynn have been really, really steady, and are doing a great job leading that group as Wanham continues to get healthy, and then everybody else that returned, been pleased with what they've done, you know, so far as well. They're getting better. So yes, took a step forward in my mind.
Shane, some of the teams that you've been around, especially the good offenses, when do they start to get things clicking? Because obviously defenses are usually going to be ahead of the offense, especially at this time of the year at the beginning of training camp.
Yeah.
But when do you usually see that page start to flip for them?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There were years at Virginia Tech going up against Bud Foster's defense every day that really didn't start clicking until like game 1 when you went out there on Saturday, just because you were going against Bud's defense every day in practice, and you're like, my God, either they're really, really good or we ain't very good on offense, and they were really good on defense. The offense is always going to be behind. There's no question about it. You know, the fact that on Saturday, DeCarrion did in scrimmage, Juju did in scrimmage, E.J. Jenkins did in scrimmage, Leggett was scrimmage but wasn't probably 100%. So I mean, there were a lot of key players that weren't out there, but that's no excuse. It's a great opportunity for those other guys. You know, I've been other places, Mike, where you know the offense is rolling. You know, I went out there my first year at Oklahoma, and we got an offense with Kyler Murray and CeeDee Lamb and Hollywood Brown and all these guys. On the first day of spring practice, it's like pshoo, pshoo, up and down the field, and I'm like, wow, it's pretty good. So I think every situation's different, but I think our offense is certainly, I don't want to say ahead of schedule, but not disappointed by any stretch of the imagination with where they are right now, nor the defense. I think both those guys both those sides of the ball are doing a great job of working and competing and making each other better right now. And the offense had some, you know, did some really nice things today as well in practice, and eager to get in there and watch the tape and see where we can continue to improve.
Some of those guys you mentioned on offense who were out on Saturday, do you know yet if they'll be available this coming Saturday for the next scrimmage? Or
I would say of those ones I just named, a lot of them would be, you know, as we go into it. You know, nobody's one that we sit there and just say they're out, you know, here for the rest of the spring. We're hopeful that they'll continue to be able to, you know, come back a little bit. We got some defensive backs that are banged up. You know, Tyrese Ross, he hasn't been able to do much. Darius Rush, he's got a little bit of a groin that he's battling. So we got a lot of receivers and DBs that are missing right now. But we're really pushing hard, and they're pushing hard as players to get back out there.
I know Jaheim's kind of been banged up too with that hamstring. Is there any hope of getting him back maybe before spring ends?
I hope. You know, I know about 2 weeks ago, one of y'all or somebody asked me if he was out for the rest of the spring, because that was the word, and I didn't think he was. I don't think he's going to be one that'll practice this week, but, you know, he tells me that he's working hard and continuing to get better and things like that. So we certainly need to get that hamstring under control for him. He's doing a nice job of doing what he can, but, you know, he's not full speed right now, which is disappointing. Good. All right. Thank you, guys. See you all soon.